Yeah, it's good to hear from you too. I'm not actually up to too much today. I'm just watching Coffee and Ham Radio and probably get my day started right. Oh, you got some interference and you need some help? Yeah, that would make a perfect episode. I'll be right over. They did it again. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Ham Radio Dude. Thanks for checking out the channel. In this episode, I want to show you how you could use your IC-705 from Icom to find sources of noise and why it's very useful and perhaps one of the most underlooked features of the IC-705. And of course, while I thought of doing this video, I then read the latest QST magazine, and they were talking about it with the IC-70700. And even though they had spoke about it today, I do want to still tell you my story about tracking down noise or a source of noise with the IC-705. So let's start off with the scenario. Now, the following is a reenactment. None of the vehicles are real. You'll see what I'm talking about. I was spending the day at a campsite in a camper, this camper right here to be exact, and this camper I had been in before. Here and here are two campers that are brand new to the area since field day. When I was at field day, neither of these were here. It was just this camper. And there's some woods here and then a road right here. I had set up my radio here just like I did on field day and an antenna that kind of went like this. It went up in the air into a tree that was right over here. So anyway, I set up and then all of a sudden I had some crazy noise levels. It was at this point that my noise levels on HF were so bad I couldn't actually really make contacts or hear anything with the IC-705. And even FT8 was suffering tremendously. I couldn't figure out what to do, and it was at that point I realized that, you dummy, the IC-705 has a waterfall display and it's capable of receiving AM signals in the 1500 kilohertz range. So let's go ahead and walk through and give an example of how we could actually source and find noise. Now, I understand that the specifications on the Icom website, some people say that the AM 500 kilohertz to 1.799 megahertz is a lot lower specified than it actually is in real world scenarios. But here is the spec sheet for the IC-705. And as you can see, 500 kilohertz to 1.799 megahertz. The sensitivity is listed at 13 microvolts. And then the sensitivity at 1.8 megahertz to 30 megahertz is 2 microvolts. So keeping that in mind, I went ahead and I tuned into an AM radio station. And let me give an example here. I'm going to create a source of noise so you could see this at home. So basically at this point that I'm maybe on HF using a KK6USY end-fed antenna and I'm seeing a lot of noise, what I do or I could do is I can plug in a small antenna. And this is just a BNC receive antenna from a police scanner that I had. But it works just as well as anything else that I need it to work for right now. So if I go ahead right now, I turn on the power, I'm going to be on the AM dial. And with that receiver sensitivity, everything sounds good right now, right? At 1079 megahertz. And there's nothing on the waterfall display though. This is where if I go to function and I turn the preamp on, turn it to preamp 1, let's take a look at how it looks. Now we're starting to see some noise, and I'm sure you could see that there. And it's even worse if I go to preamp 2. So now I'm going to dial into some of that noise. And what I would do at this point is I'm going to walk around and I'm going to try to find where the source of the noise gets louder and the source of the noise gets quieter. So if I walk this way and it gets quieter, then I'm going to walk this way and see if it gets louder. And that's exactly what I did in that scenario with the campers. And so because I'd been here for field day, I was pretty sure that this wasn't the source of the noise, since this camper was there during field day and nothing had apparently changed internally. So I went ahead and I started here and I started walking this way with the IC-705 and a small antenna. Now I noticed as soon as I walked this way, the source of the noise got quieter. And I thought, oh, maybe it's this new camper. And this is a brand new camper with all the goodies. And so it's very possible that was the case. I then walked around the front of the camper, this camper right here, and the source of the noise got extremely horrible right here on this corner. And as I walked away, it stayed horrible, stayed horrible, stayed horrible, and then there was a break point right about here where the noise got quieter and quieter and quieter. To be safe, I went ahead and I walked around the vehicle, and the noise started to pick up right here, and then again it went away here. So this camper that we were in prior that couldn't be the source of the noise, right? It was the source of the noise. This is where the preamps on the IC-705 were very useful, because when I walked around here, I was on preamp 2 and I really got a lot of noise in this corner, so I was pretty sure I was going to go to that corner. I turned the preamp down to preamp 1 as I walked in, and I walked around, and it was really interesting. The noise source came and went throughout the camper. And then I turned it down to no preamp at all, and it was still kind of the same. It was really hard at this point to distinguish where in the camper it was coming from. The main parts of the camper I was getting noise were here and here, but a little bit back here as well. This is where I basically used the preamps, turning them down to walk into the loudest sources of the noise. It turns out we had to flip a couple of circuits, and we determined that it was a bad power inverter. But I just wanted to kind of give you a demonstration of how you could use the IC-705 to track down noise or RFI or something that's emitting RF that shouldn't be. I had two examples in there, and actually one of them was unplanned. So the first example, I was walking toward what I knew was the source of the noise, and I was kind of going like this, and then I turned down the preamp to 1 and then 0, and the noise was really loud at the light, and admittedly, of course, it's going to generate noise. So I turned it off, and the noise went away, except there was still a little noise. Now this one was unplanned, and I'm thinking, what's around me? What's around me? So I kind of did this the wrong way, and I was walking around a little bit, and I thought the noise was getting kind of loud around my monitors or the camera, and so I started turning things off around there. And then as I went toward the back, toward the green screen here, that's when the noise got really loud, and I turned off another one of those lights, and the noise went completely away. So the key is to hone in on your source of noise, preamp 2. As it gets louder, preamp 1, and as it's getting louder, no preamp. And then you should be able to at least kind of get a general feel for where the noise is. Now, I will say in the QST magazine, they mentioned using a Yaki or a directional antenna to find the source of the noise. And that would have been 100% the way to go, except I was out in the field, and at that point, I didn't have a directional antenna. Anyway, I hope you like this video. It's a kind of a hidden feature, if you will, of the IC-705, or maybe everybody knew about it and just not me. Regardless, I'm happy to share the knowledge that I acquire in the spirit of amateur radio. This is the part of the episode where I give a huge shout out to my channel supporters. Every month they donate a small amount of money in order to continue to support my channel, to help it grow, and I thank you guys all so much. You really are helping me tremendously. So this month I want to shout out Patrick, WM2A, Lionel, KJ7OH, Shaq and Greg, thanks so much, Plasma Storm 73, Gary O, W Kirby, W4HKJ, Ken Copper, W4ORH, Ron, Good Game Ham Radio, Vern, WW8VS, The Gaming Ham, Ham World Online, Christiana Vergona, James Linden, Dan M0IDW, Jason N3YAZ, Andy Colley. Thanks so much to you, Steve, KO4AFL. What is going on, Don? Thanks so much, N5SKT, FEP Labs Radio. I hope you enjoyed those pizzas I sent you. WQ9F Ham Radio. See, I want to again thank these guys for all their support. And the hobby isn't all about getting money because I make videos. I continually reinvest the money not only into my channel, but other channels, other organizations, and even back to the channel supporters. So thanks so much. I appreciate you all. I'm Ham Radio Dude. Until next time, 73.